I, 27F, have been with my boyfriend, 28 male, J, for 5 years. We've both been very close with each other's families, and we've even talked about marriage. However, one touchy subject is children. Whenever we discuss it, he gets kinda standoffish. He doesn't really dismiss the idea though, it's just that he doesn't seem invested. I've always wanted kids, and he just always says he's fine with whatever makes me happy. Ever since, I've been content with this situation. However, things escalated during this holiday season. Our setup has always been that Jay spends Christmas Eve and dinner with my family, then I spend Christmas Day with his family. This was the first Christmas I'll spend with my first and only niece, 2F, Anna. She spent her first Christmas in the hospital due to her health condition, but she's okay now, so I made sure to spend a lot of time with her. We played a lot, we opened gifts together, and I even reenacted Anna's favorite storybook using her favorite doll. We even had matching outfits. My sister, 30F, Amy, thanked me for giving her and her husband some relief from childcare the entire day. However, Amy also said she noticed that Jay, who was just either sitting on the couch watching me or helping my mom with the dishes, was kinda distant with Anna. I told her I've also noticed that before, and I just chalked it up to maybe Jay was hesitant and awkward to play with Anna because he feels he's just my boyfriend. Then Amy said she won't mind, since she and her husband already treat Jay as part of our family. I then went back to Jay and encouraged him to play with Anna and help us set up her new dollhouse, but he said he's not feeling too well. He ended up drinking a few more beers and stayed on the porch by himself, scrolling on his phone. I didn't press harder and thought he might really just be feeling under the weather. I just want to add for context that Jay isn't an alcoholic. He's a sweet, wonderful, funny man who's sometimes broody and deep in thought, but he's never abusive, manipulative, or moody, and he only drinks on special occasions. The next day, on Christmas Day, we had lunch with Jay's family. Afterward, I volunteered for cleanup to help Jay's mom, 62F, Mary, and brother, 31M, John. Jay's family was the best any significant other could ever ask for. They're very sweet and supportive of us, but they're never prying. They always check up on us, but they never overstep. So, as we were cleaning up, Mary asked me how my sister's baby was. They helped with the bills when Anna was hospitalized last year. I told them that Anna's in great condition now, and that she already spent the Christmas at home. They were very delighted upon hearing this. Then, I shared with them the thing I noticed about Jay. Initially, I thought maybe Mary could just give me advice on how to approach the issue with Jay since he's clearly not the playing with kids kind of guy, but then John casually said something like, "Oh, because of Rosie," then Mary quickly shushed him. Rosie was the daughter of Jay and John's eldest sister, Beth, 35F. I never knew the actual details because everyone was very secretive about it, but all I knew was that Rosie passed away when she was just 3 years old and Beth and her husband moved away afterward. I never met them in person. So, later that night, when Mary, John, and the other family members got a bit more drunk and Jay was already sleeping in the bedroom, they told me the story. I didn't force them or anything. Apparently, Jay, being the youngest of the siblings, was really close with Rosie back then. Jay was just around 14 years old when Rosie was born, so he became the super fun uncle, like I am now with Anna. He was actually Rosie's best friend. Then, on summer of 2012, Jay was playing with Rosie outside. He was blowing bubbles and she was sing and popping them, when a speeding car, driven by a woman who was distracted on her phone, skidded into the yard toward Rosie's direction. Jay reacted quickly and was able to reach and grab Rosie so the car actually hit him, but the impact of the crash caused Rosie's head to whiplash as Jay hugged her. Jay was in a coma for 3 days and had multiple severe injuries and internal bleeding, but Rosie didn't make it. Everything was caught by the neighbor's CCTV so everyone knew that Jay was a hero for trying to protect Rosie. It was even covered by the local news, but Beth, who was understandably in grief, resented Jay for not being able to save her daughter. Beth and her husband then decided to move to another country to cope with their grief and start a new life, and they've had minimal contact with the family ever since. Jay, meanwhile, took the loss really hard. He blamed himself for not being able to save Rosie and not being able to attend her funeral since he was still at the hospital at that time. Mary said that Jay was never the same after that. He never went near kids, and he became a lot colder, quieter, more reserved, and antisocial. He also had anger issues, but it thankfully went away. I haven't had any issues with this. We also live in an area where people don't believe in therapy, so Jay never received professional help. After learning all of this, I bawled my eyes out because I never knew Jay was carrying such a heavy burden. The whole incident became a taboo family secret that no one mentions in fear of Jay breaking down or doing something he might regret, although to be fair, he's never had violent or self-harm tendencies ever since, so this was just a precaution. They also never told me before because they assumed Jay would be the one to tell me, but I told them that he never did, and that I never really asked him. I then thanked everyone for letting me in on this, and I told them that I'd talk to Jay about it when the time is right. They understood, and they said I could just ring them up if I need help or support in any way. For now, I just want Jay to enjoy the holidays and his remaining vacation days from work. Now, I don't really know how to start with him. I know seeking professional help to process all the trauma and grief, even if it's been over a decade ago, would be the top priority, but I don't know how to bring it up to him. I don't even know when is the right time to bring it up. I just want him to know that I love him no matter what, and that I'll support him in every step toward his healing, especially if we're to form a family of our own. From what I gathered from Jay's family, Beth never really voiced out that she blamed Jay for Rosie's passing. However, she became cold toward him to the point of almost ignoring him during family gatherings before they moved. Of course, everyone knew what it was all about. Yeah, this was what I was leaning toward as well. I just hope it happens sooner so his pain and sadness don't consume him any more than they already have. Update 1. I noticed that he's always distant with kids, including my niece, Anna. During Christmas, Jay's family revealed that it was because of an incident over a decade ago. Turns out, Jay was really close with his toddler niece, Rosie. One day, when they were playing outside, they were hit by a distracted driver. Jay tried to save Rosie. He sustained severe injuries, but Rosie still didn't make it. Beth, Rosie's mom and Jay's sister, acted cold toward Jay after this, then she and her husband moved to another country after a few months. From then on, Jay's personality changed, becoming cold and antisocial, and he never received professional help. All of this has become Jay's family's dirty secret. Since learning about Rosie and posting here on Reddit, I've been so conflicted about what to do. A lot of you had opposing opinions, and all of them had merit, but knowing Jay and how he'd most likely react, I chose to keep it a secret until I find the perfect time. What I didn't anticipate was that the perfect time would come in the form of a pregnancy scare. Back in January, I had a false positive. Everything happened so quickly within a day. I had a roller coaster of emotions, but bottom line was that I'm not pregnant after all. When Jay got back home that night, I knew I had to tell him everything. I told him I had a pregnancy scare, but he has nothing to worry about since it ended up being negative. At that moment, I saw all the blood drain from his face, and he became so pale that I was worried he was going to faint. I was holding his hand, and he became so sweaty and cold and shaky. He rushed to our refrigerator to get some water, and it was obvious he was spiraling really hard. That was when I told him I knew about Rosie. I came clean because I knew that was what he was panicking about. I assured him that I'm by his side, and he could react however he wanted to. I repeatedly apologized for disrespecting his trust and lying to him for weeks. I also asked him to please not be mad at his family because they meant well when they told me. Throughout all of it, I couldn't really read Jay's expressions. I wasn't sure if he was about to scream out of anger or burst into tears. I told him that we don't have to talk about it any further if he doesn't want to, but I'd be willing to listen and support him whenever he's ready. His only response that time was him asking me if I wanted to break up with him, which confused me. I told him of course not, then we hugged, then he said he needs some time to process everything before we discuss it, which I respected. For the rest of the week, we tried to interact like nothing happened, but everything was awkward since there's this huge thing hanging between us. The following weekend, which was 8 days after, we finally sat down and talked about everything. He started by apologizing for not telling me sooner, but he revealed that his last girlfriend dumped him after he told her about Rosie. He said he was so relieved after I reassured him that I wouldn't do that. He then told me that it was something that's been weighing him ever since, and he's confirmed that he never sought or received professional help. However, he said he's very much open to doing that, but he didn't think he's ready yet. He also said he's afraid to go down that path because it might release some inner demons and drag me down with him. Another thing Jay told me was that ever since Rosie was born, he felt an instant and deep connection and a sense of responsibility for her, even when he was just a teenager that time. He said that having Rosie in his life made him realize how much he wanted to be a father when he's older. However, since the incident, he's afraid of messing things up again, so he never really considered having kids from then on despite really wanting to do so. I then reassured him that we're on the same page on this. Although I also want to have kids with him in the future, I don't want to force it on him when he's not yet ready. He also said that whenever he sees me with Anna, my niece, he gets kinda jealous because he wants to join us every time. However, he constantly reminds himself to keep his distance just to be safe. I told him he doesn't have to worry about that, and that he's more than welcome to join us if he wants to. I also told him that my sister and the rest of my family actually considers him a part of our family, just to reassure him more. Jay tried to lighten the mood by joking and saying now that I know everything about him and still didn't break up with him, I could finally expect a proposal anytime soon. We both had a good laugh, but we agreed to wait for his recovery first before getting engaged or discussing our future family. During our discussion, Jay also had another heartbreaking revelation. He said that during the height of the pandemic, Beth's husband, Brian, reached out to him. Brian said that Beth H had COVID and was confined in a hospital, and that he was already running low on funds due to bills and unemployment. He also said that Beth had been almost catatonic since Rosie's passing. She had been resistant to any outside and professional help, but she was institutionalized for about a year after a self-harming incident. For the past decade, she'd been cold, distant, and withdrawn from society. Apparently, the rest of Jay's family also knew about all this, but again, they just swept it under the rug. To be fair, they had been helping Brian by sending financial aid to support Beth, but their version of the story was that Beth had just gone low contact since they moved. Also, to be very clear, Jay said that Beth never blamed him for what happened to Rosie, although he initially felt that way when he was younger. It was more of their parents interpreting and spinning things a certain way to avoid tarnishing their family's reputation, but when Brian reached out to him directly years ago, he started to understand better. However, he still hasn't processed everything, and he still partly blames himself for the whole thing. For now, what we're exploring is couples therapy so we can discuss our mutual issues in a safe and pressure-free space, and hopefully, kind of ease him into the world of therapy. We've already found the perfect therapist to help us, and we've now had 6 sessions with her. From what I can tell, Jay seems a lot happier and less burdened. We've also had homeworks from our sessions, and Jay was even the one reminding me to do them. Right now, I'm just hoping that he becomes ready enough to open up about Rosie so he can heal and recover from his trauma. Not for me, but for his mental and emotional well-being. No rush though, all in his own time. Also, Jay has no social media, but I showed him the original Reddit post I made. He spent like 3 hours reading through all the comments. It was the first time I saw him get teary-eyed because he never expected so many people giving him support and saying kind words to him. He was extremely overwhelmed by everyone's kindness, so we're both grateful to all of you for that. We also saw some TikTok and YouTube versions of the story, and you bet Jay browsed through all of them. He's still baffled why the TikTok versions have Minecraft or cooking videos in the background, but I just told him it's a trend, haha. So, there, if you've made it this far into our story, thank you for your time. I have a good feeling that Jay and I are going to be fine. We still have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but here's to hoping for the best. Edit, so Jay and I now kinda share this account. He might reply directly from time to time. This is his first time on Reddit, so please be kind to him. I had to explain to him what op and a lot of the other lingo mean, haha. Yeah, but we're both reading everything. Again, thank you for being so kind. Oop, thank you for your kind words. As for Jay, I can see that he's already making some progress, even though it's more like baby steps. Nonetheless, it is still progress. As for Beth, I can't even begin to imagine what she's going through. I just pray that she finally finds some peace eventually. Oop, yeah, he's starting to open up more about his internal struggles and burdens, but he hasn't touched on the subject of Rosie yet. The least I can do for him is to let him know I'm here for him. Thank you for your kind words. Oop, she did 1 year jail time, 5 years probation, not sure how much was really served. Oop, replying to a deleted comment about Jay's family. I won't make excuses for them. On a human, personal level, they are extremely lovely, generous, and kind people. They have welcomed me as a part of their family, and they even extended help when my sister's daughter, Anna, had congenital health problems. I have met different relatives of my exes before, and in comparison, Jay's family has been the most wonderful and welcoming. However, I would say that they are a product of the very traditional, non-progressive area in which we live. We are a Catholic community, and most activities revolve around our parish. Reputation is everything, yet town gossip is still very rampant. I understand that this may sound backward thinking in our modern times, but that is the reality of our lives. I also grew up in the same area, so I fully understand their behavior. Although I agree with you that everything that happened and how they reacted to it had been unfortunate to say the least, and Jay and Beth got the brunt of it. Oop, I'm honestly just as confused as well. I don't think the intention was to make Jay feel he was at fault. I think the intention was to just not talk about it at all and make it seem like it never happened. Like a family secret never to be brought up so the bomb doesn't go off or something. Being rational definitely wasn't a priority, and unfortunately, it was Jay and Beth who suffered. Now on to second story. Husband wants to go on weekly dates again just to create content for his Instagram, making me feel used and unimportant. My husband John and I have been married for over 2 years, and dated for about 3 years before that. Overall, we have a generally healthy relationship with good communication. When we first got married, we used to go on lots of dates, not necessarily anything big, sometimes just coffee or a drive, but we went out of our way to get out of the house together for quality time. As time has passed, I have taken on more freelance work, keeping me busier, and he's started saying that he's just too tired or doesn't feel like getting ready to go out after work or on his days off. Up until now, I haven't had an issue with that. He does work a lot and I don't blame him at all. But here's where things have changed. A couple of months ago, he got really interested in digital marketing, basically selling products online. He bought an expensive course to help him learn, and has started trying to consistently post 3 times a day in order to build a following on a new Instagram account, so he's really putting a lot of work into this. I'm not holding my breath that it will work out for several reasons that I won't get into here, unless you want them, but I've never discouraged him from doing it. When he gets stressed, I encourage him. I tell him often that I'm proud of all his hard work, etc. I only mention that to say that I'm not against him trying this out and haven't put him down for it ever. But this is why I've gotten a little sad. Last week, we went on a cute date after he got off work on Saturday, and I loved it. We laughed and talked and generally had a great time like those first dates after getting married. While we were on the date, I had an idea for a cute reel that took maybe 5 minutes to record, and then I put my phone away for the rest of the time. When we got home, I created and posted the reel, Adding him as a collaborator with his new digital marketing Instagram account, at his request. I guess he's gotten advice to post real life things, not just videos trying to sell. No biggie. I didn't mind. Well, since I already have a following, small, but bigger than his, that reel did better than any of the other ones on his account. Great. We both thought. But, now he's asked to go on a small date every Saturday. At first I was so happy. I'd love to get back to our regular dates, but then he said it would be so that we could get content for his page. He asked if I could be a collaborator on all or most of the posts, but if he could post them himself so he gets the credit for the engagement. I guess all the views / likes / etc. don't actually bump his page analytics since I was the one who created the post? I'm feeling hurt because for over a year, he hasn't shown much interest in taking me out. Now all of a sudden, because he needs content and saw how I could help his view count go up, he wanna go end dates, though. I guess I'm just feeling used and like I'm not any kind of a priority. I feel like the dates won't even count as actual dates because he's not asking to go out to spend time with me. I do want to reiterate that I'm not opposed to him doing this side job, and I'm not even opposed to helping him or collaborating on posts, though I'd prefer not to do it every week. I'm actually really happy, whether or not it works out as a moneymaker, that he's just putting a lot of effort into something that excites him. I haven't seen him this into anything maybe ever. I'm asking for advice because I don't know if I should bring this up to him or not, and if I do, what should I say? The last thing I want to do is make him feel bad or discourage him in his new endeavor. Should I just be grateful to be going on dates again? Am I being selfish? Thanks for any and all advice and sorry if this is very long. If this could be posted to sub, I'm open to suggestions. I couldn't post a relationship advice because it has a yes or no question lol. Edit, because so many people are getting hung up on the double standard of me making content on the date, but not wanting him to. I just want to clarify that I'm not a content creator by any means. I asked if he'd want to do this reel and he said yes, and it's not a regular thing as I don't post much. To me the difference here is that the whole point of these dates moving forward will be to get content, and for him it will be work, where for me it was just a fun thing for us. Maybe this doesn't make a difference, but that's just how I see it in my head. Update 1. Many of the comments said that the best thing to do was probably just take the win and find the good in my situation, but if it's really bothering me, to bring it up to John. I honestly didn't want to, but I didn't want to be upset on every date either, so I decided to give it a trial run and see how I felt after. I waited 2 weeks to make a decision, and chose to go ahead and mention it to him. For those of you who think I'm some dramatic witch whose husband could never do enough to make her happy, I told him, I was sure how I felt wasn't how he intended to come across, but then explained what I had been thinking. Sure enough, as many of you said, he was just killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I told him I was totally fine creating content on our dates, but I just didn't want to feel like that was why we were on a date. He said that he understood and would be careful about it, and that if I was bothered or wanted to have a no content date, to just let him know. So, that's the good part. The next part was a little tougher. For the advice of a couple of you with either digital marketing or MLM experience, I had the tough pyramid scheme talk. I told him before, during and after this conversation that no matter what he chooses to do, I will support him and help him, but I also explained to him a few things. How the marketing was misleading, how most people lose money instead of making it, how they will try to keep trying to get him to spend more money to make it work, etc. I also suggested that he track his hours of learning, content creating, and posting, so that even if he does start making sales, he can decide if the time is worth the payout. I probably mentioned other things as well, but I don't remember what if so. I have always been very anti-MLM and like to think I know a lot about it, so I just tried to give him all the basic info in a kind way. After all that, I told him if he wanted to keep trying, I was for it as long as he doesn't invest any more money before he makes some. I also told him how I was so proud of all the work he put into his side hustle so far and how I loved that he was excited about it, how he's been getting up early to work out because of it. He will record parts of his run / stretches / etc., but actually does a full workout or run, and I love how it's energized him. Understandably, he was a little sad and quiet, but he understood everything and wasn't mad at all. This was all last night and he was totally back to normal before bed, and he's continued posting today, so I guess I didn't hurt his feelings or discourage him like I thought I might. That's the whole reason I waited so long, but I guess it would have been fine all along. I am looking forward to our weekly dates, and to the fact that we will be able to look back and remember them all since we will have videos from each one. Again, grateful for all of your kind words, and I'm happy to answer comments or questions. Just be nice for goodness sake.